Welcome to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper-Smith, a doctor-prepared nurse practitioner, and this show is about empowering you to live a radiant, healthy, and balanced life. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Carolina Gilcapi. Carolina is the owner of Sated Ventures Travel, a boutique company curating private experiences in 40 countries. With 19 years of leadership in luxury sales, she has been named Travel and Leisure Magazine's South America expert. Originally from Warsaw and raised in Brooklyn, Carolina has explored over 50 countries, always uncovering fresh insights to share with her clients. She graduated from Johnson & Wales University and has trained over 100 sales consultants, spoken at major industry events, including the New York Times Travel Show, and has been featured in 20 magazines and podcasts and more. She is happiest when savoring something beautiful, somewhere beautiful, alongside her husband and 2 daughters. Welcome, Carolina. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. So nice to hear that all said and well.
Yes, it's so impressive.
Thank you.
You've really done a lot.
Travel is amazing, so it's hard not to wake up happy every day.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about just adventures that we can have and how it relates to our wellness.
Perfect. I'm excited to share. There's plenty that we have done in the last 19 years that has taught me, how to incorporate wellness and health into our life using travel.
Yes. So you are referred to as the culinary anthropologist. Tell me about that.
Food is kind of a cornerstone of Sated Ventures, the name of our company. And I think it is the most important part of travel because there's nothing else that can get you closer to the local people than breaking bread and sitting around a table with them. So we've developed a program over the many years that we've been traveling, especially to Latin America, where we use food to connect our clients to local culture. Kind of sneak it in there, hands-on experiences and meeting local chefs and indigenous communities. And it has been a very successful way to introduce people to the world.
I love trying local cuisine, whether it's in another country or even here in the United States, of what is unique to this area. And it really does help to understand the people.
Exactly. It grounds you. It kind of connects you to the place way faster than going on a tour, looking out a window. Food just does it all.
Yes. So what inspired you to create Sated Adventures?
Yeah, I'm an immigrant. I came from Poland. So growing up in Brooklyn, that was my first kind of culture shock.
Oh, yes.
Going from a very, a country that is, everyone is white, everyone is Catholic, everyone eats the same food, to a place where everyone's different. There's different smells and, languages. And it was very, very exciting to grow up there. And it inspired me. And I went and studied tourism. And I've never done anything else but tourism. And Johnson & Wales happened to be a culinary school. So that introduced me to living with other foodies and really diving into that aspect of travel. So we started quite young.
Oh, perfect. So it was always your dream.
Yes, it kind of developed. And I didn't know it was my dream, but it developed into it when I started realizing I love Latin America. I've been on over 50 expeditions just to Latin America, always exploring and discovering something new. And so I knew it had to be a part of my life. And then my husband's from Ecuador. Complete coincidence.
Okay.
He's from Brooklyn. We did not meet on a trip or anything, but that kind of solidified my place in the continent.
Yeah, so you're definitely known for your expertise in Latin and South America. What led you to that particular part of the world?
One of my first trips, like a study abroad with school, was to Guatemala. I lived with a local family. We studied ecotourism, and it just opened my eyes to nature, preserving nature, being with indigenous communities in the jungle. And now I'm in the jungle at least once a year. I love it. I'm a city girl, and that's a jungle on its own, but
different type of jungle.
Exactly. But the rainforest is so special, and the people that live there, and that's part of their everyday life is really special too. So I always try to incorporate that. People always think about going to Europe or going on an African safari, which are great, and we do that also, but they always leave Latin America for last, and it is my life's mission to get them there before, it's too late. So that's why.
Yeah, what amazed me, I haven't traveled as much as I'd like, but I've been to Peru, as well as to Costa Rica. In both places, the food is just, farm to table and just so fresh, and we can't get that here as much.
Yes, it's really interesting how food and travel and wellness kind of go together. We're in such a kind of hamster wheel here in the States. We have a very busy schedule. We're running from commuting to working to family things, and we're just doing the same thing all the time, and that leads us to make unhealthy choices when it comes to food, just because it's necessary. Because we're busy. And travel kind of throws that all on its head. And when you're traveling, you're changing that whole routine. So not only is it giving your body a reset and your mind kind of a shock to the system, but you're encountering seasonal, fresh food. You're walking more, most likely, especially if you're with State Adventures. You're getting out there. We're not just sitting in a car. We're really peeking into the doorway and experiencing things on foot. And no matter what I do when I travel, I will eat 3 times a day. I will have that dessert, and I still come back feeling healthier, lighter, because you're doing that reset and you're using food that's just so much fresher and not processed.
Right.
So it's a huge part of travel, and a huge important part of travel when someone is feeling unhealthy. So it's not just about visiting bucket list items. We do that. But along the way, what do you want to bring back that's going to set some new routines at home? We always come back, and my kids are like, what are we going to do different now? It's like, we'll come back, and I'm like, now we're going to have fish every morning, because in Iceland they do that, and look at their skin. So they love it.
Yeah. So you mentioned incorporating wellness into travel. So one of those ways is disrupting our normal routines, just breaking things up a little bit. Yes. Another thing you mentioned, walking more.
For sure. I think travel also resets your soul, right? Because we live in a very intense environment, especially the climate these days is very intense. And we're bombarded with information. It's not normal to have this much access to information and news and videos, and your mind is constantly just going. When you travel, you reset that by not only turning off Wi-Fi a lot of the time because you're out exploring, but it teaches empathy. It introduces you to people who are different than you. It shows you how little you are in the world, which is very important for people, because sometimes people feel very important themselves. And I just love that aspect. You come back with this open-mindedness that is necessary, and it feels healthy on the inside, something that you can incorporate into your daily life here.
Absolutely. And I love, some of my favorite trips have been when there isn't Wi-Fi. I'm like, sorry, I can't answer my emails today. And
just sorry, not sorry.
Right? And just having prepared before you go that I'm going to be out of the loop. And to the people depending on me, this, leaving certain instructions of this is how I want things handled.
I completely agree. And another concept we like to instill in the trips, because they are built itineraries, right? So we do kind of have a skeleton of an idea of what they're going to do, but I incorporate slow travel, what I call, while we're doing it, so that they will see Machu Picchu and, their bucket list items and experience things. But there's always going to be time built in where they can just breathe, just sit in a cafe and enjoy a local beverage, or sit in a main square and people watch. This is so important to travel, just to see what life is like in, this Andean town or in this bustling city. It's really important to incorporate that. So slow travel, being on a train for 8 hours, just so you can reflect on everything you've seen so far and not constantly be on the go, because then you miss it. You miss that important part.
So you have enough structure so that you could still accomplish these things that you set out, but then enough downtime just to allow some flexibility.
Yes, we like to take care of the logistics, so they're not concerned about entry tickets and, just all those things that you don't like to think about, the unfun part of travel. But definitely leave room for spontaneous surprises and things that pop up along the way. And then for the people, for the culture, yes, we will go to Buenos Aires and we will see all the sights, but we will also meet a local chef and he'll take us to the market and we're going to sniff fruit and buy ingredients and go back to his kitchen and learn how to make empanadas. And he's pouring wine and telling stories. And that, to me, is a huge part of getting sated. You know, sated means completely satisfied, right? That's why we chose the name for the trip, because not only do we love food, but we want you to have that feeling all the time. Every time you come back from a trip, we want you to #get sated.
Yes.
So it's a big part to incorporate people into that.
Something I really enjoyed when I did get to see Cusco is we did a little cooking class that started with a tour of a farmer's market, and he bought all the ingredients that we were going to be using for our meal and then showed us how to make it. And it was delicious.
Yeah. And you're part of it. It takes you to a different level of experiencing the culture. And then along the way, you're going to get to know the chef and what he has to say and what life is like and ask questions. What I love doing is not only asking him questions, but asking local people, what questions do you have for us? And you will be surprised, like how curious they are about what life is like, what food is like, where you come from.
Now, do you have a favorite story of someone who maybe went on one of your trips and just came back enlightened?
So I think there's different trips for everyone, right?
Yep.
So there's people who are exhausted and they must go to the beach. And so we incorporate something like the Brazilian coastline or take them to Thailand, things like that, because they are beach people. And of course, there's food and culture and all of that.
Right.
But other people have just spent the summer in Florida and they must get away from the heat and they'll go to Iceland or hike Patagonia or, somewhere where there's refreshing air. But some people need to just leave the planet, or so it seems. They just had enough and they just need a complete wellness reset. And when they do, I send people to Bolivia. And to this day, it's one of my favorite places in the world. It is like a complete different planet. It feels like you're on Mars. You land in Uyuni Salt Flats. It's the largest salt flats in the world, very remote. You're in a 4x4 with our team. And for 3-4 days, you're out in the salt flats exploring rock formations and sleeping in a hotel made of salt and visiting these cultures that are so remote. And it does something to people. And everyone who comes back from Bolivia thanks me because it feels like they went to another planet and it's so special. So that is, to this day, my favorite place.
Ooh, I'm putting it on my list.
Yay.
All right, I'm going to have you hold that thought.
Of course.
We're going to pause for a commercial break from our sponsor. You're listening to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Looking for expert care that helps you feel your best? Meet Shauna, lead practitioner at Amethyst Wellness. With a personalized approach to bioidentical hormones, weight loss, and aesthetic services, Shauna and the rest of the Amethyst Wellness team help you restore balance, boost energy, and feel confident inside and out.
At Amethyst Wellness, we take time to understand your goals. It's not one size fits all. It's a plan designed just for you.
Schedule your consultation today at Amethyst Wellness in Palm Coast. Your journey to total wellness starts here.
Welcome back to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper-Smith, and my guest today is Carolina Gupacki.
Close enough.
Close enough. She is the owner of State Adventure Travels. Before the break, we were talking about all kinds of adventures and travel and, things. So what other kinds of adventures do you curate for people?
Yeah, what's wonderful about curating is you never know what request you get every day. So every day is different. And we do 80% listening, 20% talking, right? Because you really have to gauge who the client is. And adventure means different things to different people. Sometimes a client wants to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. That's his challenge. He wants to push himself physically, or maybe there's some big birthday that he wants to celebrate by summiting. And we can do that. And that definitely is a physical goal. But for someone else, adventure may mean trying a spicy curry or eating a tomato right off a vine because they've never done that before, or even milking a cow or being near a cow because, for some people, that's just something out of this world. So we incorporate things after really getting to know the clients. I'm not in the business of selling. We're in the business of building relationships. And every one of my clients, I know them personally. My team and I really get to know people so that they can come back, they can be comfortable. And majority of our guests are repeats. And for that reason, because we listen. So adventure, whether it is something like spicy food or climbing some mountain that you've always dreamed about, it's all about taking yourself out of the comfort zone, whatever that comfort zone may be, and pushing yourself, because we can't grow if we constantly do the same thing. So I love that about travel. It really allows you to go out of your limits and do something uncomfortable and come back. And if anything, you'll have a story to tell, right? So it might not even be a success, but you'll always have a fun story to tell. And that's a big part of travel. But coming back, challenging yourself, confidence, resilience, all of these things is something that you bring back. Forget the souvenirs, bring back confidence. That's huge.
Right. Yeah, you can't gift that.
No.
So let's say I come to you and I say, I want to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. Do you make sure that I'm ready for that physically?
So our team will make sure.
Yes.
We even need a letter from your doctor stating that you are ready. So
that's smart.
You want to be. I mean, that's quite a challenge. The way we do it, though, is we just had a couple hike it, and there was 19 people traveling with them. I mean, this is all staff. My team is going with them. They're setting up the camp. They're hiking with them. They're translating. Everything is done around it. It was a private hike just for the two of them, and they said it was just one of the life-changing experiences, because you're there for 7, 8, 9 days with this group of 19 guys who live at the foot of this hill, who have hiked it multiple times. It's like a little family now. Yeah. And so that is a big part.
And their job is to guide people up the mountain?
Up and down the mountain.
Wow.
Sometimes barefoot. I mean, these guys are crazy. It's a long story with shoes on hikes. Many, many years ago, we tried to start a little foundation of donating your old hiking boots. Yeah. And it was actually in Peru. And because we kept seeing the porters running up and down the mountain, either in these rubber shoes that they make out of tires or barefoot. And we're like, oh, my gosh, let's just donate all of the boots. What a great idea. You hike your trail and then you donate the boots. When we saw the guides and the porters put the boots on and just wobble around, and they were so uncomfortable, but they were grateful. They wanted to say, to show you that they're great, but they hated it.
But they're used to being barefoot.
Sometimes you have to listen and realize that
there is a wellness trend of being barefoot.
There you go.
For grounding purposes.
Full circle.
So maybe they know what they're talking about there. So if I was going to travel, what are one of your top 3 tips for maintaining a wellness routine while I'm traveling?
So, number one thing is hydration. People get really nervous about high altitude, about, strenuous activity, and they forget hydration is key. And this is not just when you're traveling. This should be an everyday thing. Exactly. So I always have a big, my refillable water no matter where we go. And that's probably a good idea. Many countries have cut out plastic, like Costa Rica just cut out plastic. Oh. So they're really pushing refillable water bottles. But I swear by the little packets you put into your water, like Liquid IV and other brands. I love them, and they have saved me many times. Sometimes I lead groups of 20, 30 people. You need to be hydrated and in a good mood at all times when you're leading that many people. And so hydration is key. Mm-hmm. And then I just think that when you travel and your brain is just so aware and so awake, and, you're translating, you're looking at maps, and you're constantly going, and it's just so exciting. sleep is really important, and I never sleep as well as I sleep when I'm traveling because of that, because everything is so new every day, and I thrive off of that. Maybe other people will be exhausted by that. But either way, sleep is really important when you travel, especially when there's some adventure involved. And in general, find some time for yourself. Like, don't just rely on the itinerary. Don't just rely on everything you read on Instagram and TikTok. Like, find some moments for yourself. One of my kind of routines, and I travel alone all the time because we're always, exploring. No matter where I am, new city, I don't know it, I put on big dark glasses, I put on my headphones, and I will walk for hours just exploring. But this just kind of signals to people, I'm not talking, I'm not looking, I don't, I'm just here to explore. Yeah, and that is my me time. Sometimes there's not even music in my headphones. It's just kind of like a barrier. But I just love doing that. It kind of sets me off to begin the trip. Another thing we do as a family, whenever we land, red-eye flight or a really long trip, that first night in a hotel, we're not pressuring ourselves to go out, explore. We put on our bathrobes. We get room service. We just kind of decompress, get a good night's sleep, and start the next morning. And I've been setting that up for clients, and they just love that. Because you feel pressure. Oh, I'm only here for, 7 days. Right. I must see everything. You don't need to see everything. It will mean so much more if you see less, but at a deeper...
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned hydration. Do you have any problem in some countries with the safety of the water?
I don't care where you're traveling. Your body is not used to the water or bacteria that may be in the water. It may not be bad, but...
different
just
for you.
To be safe, it's not good for you. So even brushing your teeth, showering, that's where clients come back to me and said, oh, I drank bottled water, but I forgot in the shower. So I always warn against that. I personally have an iron stomach. Nothing bothers me.
Thank goodness.
The Polish stomach. But for clients, bottled water is key.
Yes.
And so we provide it. It's always in our cars. It's always at the hotel. And it's kind of standard.
That was something I kept forgetting in Peru. I was brushing my teeth and I was like, oh no. And thankfully I was fine. But I was like, I might regret that later. Yeah. So when we're packing, sometimes when I go somewhere, I feel like I over-prepare and over-pack, and I'm schlepping around this really heavy suitcase. What are your tips for packing?
Okay. Take less.
Less is better.
Take less stuff. Bring more money. That's kind of
you can always buy what you
can
forgot.
Always buy paste and all this little extra things that you might have forgotten. But for the last probably 12 years, I haven't checked the bag. I'm a carry-on girl.
Oh, wow.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's a weekend or 3 weeks traveling through Africa. It's a carry-on. So I make do. And how do I do that? As a New Yorker, we wear a lot of black. So neutral colors, bring big earrings, bring a shawl, and dress it up, but you can reuse. You actually realize maybe 3-4 days into a trip how little you need. How little you need. How freeing it is not to trek with a huge suitcase through cobblestone and regret all your life's choices, So bring less stuff. A big thing for me that I've discovered a few years ago that I highly suggest if you're flying on a flight maybe more than 4 hours in economy is the foot swing. You attach it to your little tray and it just gives your feet a little step. It has been a game changer for me.
Right.
It just, it elevates your experience. You have different options, and it weighs nothing. It's tiny. You can slip it into your purse, but it makes such a difference. So I've been actually sending that to clients because it makes such a difference.
Because your feet can get swollen when they're in that dependent position for all those hours.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of ideas on how to pack with the cubes and this and that. But in general, pack maybe 3 or 4 days before, leave it there, and then go in every day and take a few items out. I do that, kind of plan ahead. Like, this is for hiking. Really what you need is comfortable shoes, a few layers, and just less. Leave the hair iron at home. Leave the bags of makeup at home. You will not regret it, You can always buy some when you're traveling, if something local.
Absolutely. So what's one item that you never leave home without?
Tinted sunscreen is my jam.
Okay.
And that is like my makeup, my sunscreen, my moisturizer. That is a great. I protect my skin. Living in Florida, I have learned that.
So important. Yes.
So, and when you're traveling in high altitudes, you're closer to the sun. You need that sunscreen. So I really live by that. That is part of my daily routine, and that comes with me.
Yeah. And if it's tinted, then you have one less item to pack with your makeup.
Exactly.
So let's say I have a group of girlfriends, and I'm like, I want an adventure. What's my next step?
Again, we would have to sit down and figure out what adventure means to you. Yes. And wonderful girls' trips lately have been Croatia, because, you have the beaches, you have the yachts, but there's also history. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, we have some of that. And there's beautiful, beautiful Mediterranean food here. And it's a little bit off the beaten path, right? So you need a little hand holding, but it's still Europe, so people feel very comfortable going. So I have been loving working with Croatia. But if you love adventure, I love Patagonia, riding horses with the gauchos and sitting around a fire, sharing a mate. So there's some really wonderful experiences down in Argentina and Chile's Patagonia. But when people think of Latin America, I always remind them that there is luxury down there. Right. Sometimes they forget, they think it's third world, and they think they're going to be roughing it. By no means do you have to rough it. So, just keep an open mind. There's some really great trips in South America. So you've been to Peru. We need to get you down to another country down
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to planning that.
Wonderful.
So how can people get in touch with you?
So we're Sade Adventures, and our website is sadeadventures.com, and you can reach out to me at info@sadeadventures.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram.
You've got a pretty good social media presence.
Yes, you can find us anywhere. We're a small team, but mighty team, and we're in 40 countries now.
Awesome. Lots of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
I really appreciate it. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. If there are topics you would like to hear about, please send an email to radiantpodcast2025@gmail.com. Check out our past episodes on Amethyst Wellness YouTube. And we are now featured on Apple Podcasts and all your favorite platforms. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review with a quick comment. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. I'll be back next Saturday morning at 7:30 with more expert insights and practical strategies to help you live your healthiest, most energized life. Until then, stay healthy, and here's to your best life.